Am I the asshole for not going to my twin's wedding? I, 24M, have an identical twin. We're not close, but I thought we had basic mutual respect. That belief was tested. I grew up in a traditional southern town and only began coming out in college about 5 years ago. It's been slow, especially with family. But since moving to DC in 23 for school, work, I felt more comfortable living authentically. After moving, I met my boyfriend, 26M, and we've been together 2 years. Over time, I've introduced him to friends and family when I felt safe. Cut to November, 24. I was home for the holidays and told my twin and his fiancée about my BF. They seemed happy for me. While staying with them, wedding details arose, and they asked if I'd be bringing a date. I said yes, my BF. My twin had gone to bed, but his fiancée said, while there are pros and cons, it's up to you if you want to bring him. That felt like a green light. My twin constantly deferred to her on decisions, so I didn't think I needed to double-check. 5 months passed, my boyfriend and I had spent $1,300 on travel, flights, hotel, etc. 3 weeks before the wedding, I mentioned on a call with my brother that we were all set. His tone shifted. Oh, is boyfriend actually coming? I reminded him of the convo with his fiancée. He said she never gave me permission and accused me of making it up. Then said, we can't allow your boyfriend to come. We worry how dad's side will react. I offered to call dad on the spot. He dodged, saying he'd check with his fiancée, despite just saying it was his decision. An hour later, no change. I was still invited alone, still expected to buy a groomsman match suiting, even though I wasn't in the party, and show up smiling. That's when I snapped. I asked, if I didn't invite your fiancée to my wedding, would you still come? He couldn't answer and ended the call after some harsh words. Trying to make things right, I came out to my dad, which I feared for years, to explain the situation. He was surprisingly indifferent and even said uninviting my boyfriend was extreme. He offered to talk to extended family. I thought I was removing the main obstacle. Weeks later, my twin called again. He now claimed our friends would be weirded out, so the excuse shifted. I said, if my BF's not invited, I'm not coming. He didn't budge. Here's the kicker. Days later, my dad told me the fiancée admitted she did give me permission but changed her mind when she remembered who would be there. She denied this to my twin. Also, one of her bridesmaids is openly gay and brought her GF, but, according to the fiancée, she's not part of the family, so it's different. So I didn't go. I'm still wondering if I made the wrong call. My absence was noticed. I got texts asking where I was. My mom had to explain it repeatedly. So instead of avoiding attention, my absence became the story. My relationship with my twin is dead, and some family ties now feel fragile. Part of me wonders, should I have sucked it up and gone solo, just to preserve bonds that shaped my early life? So, am I the asshole for skipping the wedding? You came out to her dad, got gaslit by her twin, got lied to by the fiancé, and still tried to make peace. You did more than enough. They chose drama, not you. Not the asshole. You did the right thing. Now you know who your twin and his wife are. I'm glad you talked to your father. That must be a relief. I'm sorry about the others in your family. Not the asshole. But your twin and his wife definitely are both aw. I'm glad you found out that your dad is at least supportive of you and your boyfriend. That's something good out of the stinking corpse of your relationship with your twin. I wasn't there because apparently, it's only okay to be gay if you're not family. Not the asshole. I don't know why my Reddit isn't working like it used to, but I can't cite directly from your post. So indirect citation it is. Your absence got noticed, good. Your absence and the reason for it became a huge story at the wedding, very good. Not the asshole. Listen, I'm sure it hurts now that the relationship with your twin is dead. But do you really want to be close to someone who doesn't respect you? They wanted a fake version of you at their wedding. And they didn't even have the courage to say so but instead blamed it on others. They suck. On the other hand, it's great that you now came out to your dad who reacted really well. Not the asshole. Your brother keeps finding excuses by saying other people won't accept it, when it's clear he is the one who doesn't but won't admit to it. He may be your family by blood, but your boyfriend is who you choose to be with, and it's great you're standing by him and your relationship. Am I the asshole for incorrectly guessing a woman's age? I know you're never supposed to guess a woman's age. But I, 26 female, was at a house music show last night and this woman approaches me. She is foreign and very flirty, kissing me all over my face. She tells me I look so young. I tell her how old I am and she's like, "Aw yeah, you're a baby." And then asks me to guess her age. I usually don't ever engage in that game with women. I genuinely thought she was in her 50s. Drinks had been flowing and I guess I lost my better judgment and I guess, what I think is lowballing, 41. She is shocked and grabs her friend to tell her, oh my god, she said 41. She tells me her age. She's 37. I am mortified. She says, do I really look that old? I know I have wrinkles. And I said, oh God, I am so sorry. No, you're beautiful. Her friend says, I always say 21 no matter what. I walk away from that situation feeling uncomfortable and really horrified. The rest of the night that woman and I ignore each other. To be honest, she was a rough-looking 37. I didn't even think it was that bad to have guessed within 5 years. I also think like if you look old, don't ask people to play that game. But again, I shouldn't have even engaged. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. 41 isn't even far off from 37. And, I always say 21, is terrible advice. Nobody wants to get old but we all do. Not the asshole. This is a literal example of, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. She also might have been lying about her age to begin with. I am in my 40s and it's not uncommon for women in my age bracket to be insecure about their age. Not the asshole. I'm 37 and if someone told me I looked 41 I'd think I was due for a good night's sleep. 4 years is not that crazy to be off in either direction. She FA and FO. Not the asshole. She ordered it, she can eat it. Not the asshole, it's not just how she looked. Even if you weren't guessing extremely close to her real age, she was also talking down to you and understandably that confused your judgment. As a woman nearing my 30s, this is exactly the kind of middle-aged woman I don't want to be. I agree with you. She shouldn't be probing if it's a sensitive topic. You were 4 years off, you guessed correctly. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for not telling a woman she was about to sit and poop? I, 26M, was at a crowded park recently where there were food trucks set up and people sitting around eating. Seating was pretty limited, and most people were sitting on this low concrete wall that runs along the edge of a parking lot. On the other side of the wall is a grassy area that's level with the top of the wall, so people sit with their backs toward the grass and legs facing the lot. I had just gotten my food when I noticed the only free spot left. At the same time, I saw a girl, well dressed for the park, also walking toward it. She saw it first and was headed that way, but I was closer and got there before her despite her running when she saw me approaching it. As I got to it, I looked down at the grass behind the wall and saw a big pile of dog poop right where someone's lower back or clothes would land if they leaned or sat back. It was pretty gross and I decided not to sit. Right then, she walked up and looked annoyed, saying, seriously? I was going to sit there. I didn't want to make a thing of it, so I just stepped aside and said, go ahead, you can have it. She immediately sat down without checking behind her and just a second later jumped up with a disgusted look on her face. The poop was stuck to the back of her skirt. She turned to me and snapped, why didn't you say anything? I told her, I saw it, yeah, but I didn't know how you were planning to sit. For all I knew you were just going to perch on the edge or sit upright. It's a park, people walk their dogs here. You got to check before sitting down. She kept insisting I should have warned her, but I told her I wasn't trying to be petty. I genuinely didn't know how far back she was going to lean or sit, and it wasn't really my responsibility to check the ground for her. She could have sat only on the wall and not on the grass and would have been fine. She eventually walked off frustrated, but now I'm wondering if I should have just said something anyway. But I feel like especially since she was so confrontational about the spot it wasn't really necessary. Am I the asshole? I told her I wasn't trying to be petty. This is the part where we need David Beckham poking his nose out of his bedroom door and saying, be honest. You were 100% being petty, and you know it. If it was so likely that she might have sat in some way that didn't get her covered with poop, if that was so easy, then why did you get up? You didn't want to sit there because, even though you'd already seen the poop and knew where it was, you still figured there was a strong chance of you winding up with crap on your back. You are the asshole. I'ma go with you are the asshole. You knew there was a reasonably high chance that she was about to get pooped, and you're offering the seat to her carries the implication, to some extent at least, that she was not about to get pooped. She was being a bit rude, sounds like, but I dunno that she was being poop rude. She saw it first, you recognized, so you attempted to take a seat you were aware someone else was already headed toward, got angry when she called you out on it, and deliberately allowed her to sit in dog shit as revenge for her standing up for herself. You are the asshole. YTA, and you were being petty. She was also an a-hole for acting like she was entitled to the spot, but you should have told her, and hell you could have even said it in a petty way, but you knew she was going to sit in it. You knew it was there and you let it happen. Oh come on, you are the asshole. Seeing poop and knowing someone who has not egregiously wronged you in life is about it to sit in it. You are the asshole. You are the asshole in this situation and in general I expect. You knew she was going for the seat but decided to sit there anyway. The only reason you didn't is because of the poop. Then you said nothing. You would have been in the clear if you just let her have the seat you knew she was hustling to. Am I the asshole for asking for the window seat? Earlier this week I, 40F, was on a flight from LA to San Francisco. After I boarded the flight and was comfortably settled into my window seat in premium economy, I got a notification that my seat had been upgraded to first class, seat 4F, another window seat. I gathered my stuff and got up to move, trying to work quickly because I assumed it was an overbooked flight and someone had been given my original seat. As I made my way to the front, along with another guy who had been upgraded from coach, the flight attendant, 35F or so, told us to take any open seat. The guy, 65M or so, who had been upgraded from an aisle seat, took the window seat. I asked the flight attendant, in what I thought was a quiet voice, if I could have my assigned window seat. I explained that I'm a very nervous flyer and prone to nausea if I'm not next to a window. She said no because they were about to close the door. For context, I don't mean to be high maintenance, but I witnessed a small plane crash as a kid and I've been scared of flying ever since. I work with a therapist on how to deal with it, since I need to travel a couple times per month for my job, and my coping method is Xanax plus a window seat. When I'm scared my stomach churns. I don't love it, but it's what happens. The guy in the window seat overhears and gets up to give me the seat, but instead of doing it with kindness he rolls his eyes and loudly sneers. I've never heard of anyone throwing up because they're not in a window seat. At this point I'm super embarrassed, and don't want to sit next to this guy, so I said, "Oh, this is clearly going to be a thing. Can I just have my original seat back?" Luckily the seat was still open, so I sat back down next to the window. I truly didn't care about not sitting in first class. It's a short flight. The interaction has been bothering me for days though. Was I the awe? Am I an entitled person in the eyes of the other passengers? Was the guy, the flight attendant, for not just asking us to sit in our assigned seats? Not the asshole. You were asking for your assigned seat. You made the right call to just forget the upgrade and go back to your original seat. Not the asshole. You were discreet and respectful, and those involved lacked care and compassion. You did what was best for you in the end. Maybe you want to file a grievance with the airline about how the attendant handled it, but that is your call. No, the guy's just an AH. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, but personally I would have parked my scrawny ass in the first class seat and ignored Mr. Weiner. The flight attendant's first responsibility at that moment was to make sure the plane could depart as planned, so I don't falter at all. Not the asshole. There are at least 2 of us in the world who get nausea if we don't have window seats. I would have stayed in the aisle and puked on the eye roller to be honest. But really, you weren't the asshole here, the dude was. Not the asshole. Never heard of a flight where you're told to sit wherever, unless it's Southwest. It's not a bus. They do log where passengers are seated. Your boarding pass has the seat number on it. So right off the bat this is the flight attendant's fault. Also, I wouldn't want to sit next to a guy who was already behaving that way. And we all know his boarding pass doesn't have the window seat. So doubly rude on his part to react that way.